Hello everybody, it's the Worm, and I'm back again from some more Steins Gate today. Last time we had two major scenes that occurred. One was at a new area that is called Yanabayashi Shrine, and the other took place in the aforementioned CRT store located beneath our lab. And for each new area, we met a new character. So let's talk about that a bit. So, first one we met was a one Urushibari. Urushibaru Luca, nicknamed Lukaku. That's what I believe he is in the phone as. Yes, Lukaku. And Lukaku is a shrine maiden who works at said shrine, but he is a boy. And that was kind of the common refrain there throughout that whole conversation. So yes, apparently just an extremely feminine guy who also works as the Miko, or the shrine priestess. Curious as to whether we'll get the story behind that, as to why he's taken up that position, or why he's in that situation, but a bit early to say. I near the end of that whole scene, I think I was, I felt like that scene ended a bit abruptly, and part of it made me think that whole "but he's a guy" thing is, I feel like that's gonna pop up every time we see him. So I don't know if that's gonna overstay its welcome, as a just something that's said over and over. But I guess we'll just have to see. And then we met at the CRT store a one Amane Suzuha, who is apparently an 18-year-old who is not a student, but applied to work at the CRT store due to her love of CRT monitors or TVs, and that's it. That's all we got so far. Really not a lot. So, yeah, I mean, we didn't get too much story last time, because, we were introducing a couple new locations along with a couple new characters. Oh, we also we heard his name before, but we actually got to meet Tenoji, whose full name is Tenoji Yuja. I was picturing some kind of old guy, minding the store, but turns out he's a very muscular gentleman who is indeed very passionate about CRT, the TVs, the Braun tube TVs. And apparently he has a 12-year-old daughter named Nai. And he seems very used to dealing with our main character here. So it was kind of fun seeing him not put up with it and just kind of put Rintaro in his place a bit. But yeah, that's pretty much all that happened. We got to see that apparently Rintaro likes getting exorcisms every now and then. I don't know. His whole shtick, his character is... It's sci-fi and fantasy, sounds like. It's just tons of... it's not just this mysterious organization, but demons too, I guess. So, yeah, I don't know. It's a lot. In terms of thoughts and theories, I did have... I'll start with Amane Suzuha. I mentioned this last time, but, my mind right now is primed to be on the lookout for any sort of time shenanigans. And she said a few suspect things for me. One, she's not a student. And she's apparently just got to work at the store for her love of CRTs, which That seems very specific. Uh, I feel like it's almost, it has to be something like she's getting a job here because we are here, something like that. And she said something like well, it was in response to Rintaro. You know, he was giving his whole character, his Chunibyo thing, and then she said, "Oh, that's the current trend." And you know, of course, Tennoji said, "No, this guy's just crazy." But you know, it seemed like she was going to take it seriously for a second, which is a bit odd of a thing to say. So I thought something like, "Oh, maybe she's a time traveler or something." But also, I'm pretty sure I know who the voice actress is here, and if it is who I think it is, I feel like Amane Suzuha is going to be a very important character going forward. We'll just have to see how that plays out. Another thing, just a thought. This isn't really well, it's a bit of a speculation, but I was a bit, you know, I said how I'm a bit worried I can get tired of Rintaro's character, and we got to see some of that in both scenes last time. Both with him being a bit rude to Tennoji, you know, just demanding it be fixed and all that sort of stuff. And we also saw a bit of that with Luca, where he came across, at least to me, as a bit overbearing, just kind of making demands of the exorcism and taking over as a Luca's mentor, is what it was described as. And that made me worried a bit. But, you know, I've had some time now to think about it. And here's the thing. Here's what I want it to be. I feel like I don't know Rintaro enough to know this for sure. But here's what I would hope it to be. Luca seems to be very timid, very shy, maybe not very confident. And what I would hope is Rintaro, by being this mentor, so to speak, and having him do this thing with the swords and kind of encouraging him and stuff like that. Maybe Rintaro is trying to, you know, bring out some confidence or allow Luca to step up for himself or something like that. You know, again, I think it's way too early for me to be sure about that, but that's something I hope it is the case. I hope it's just not Rintaro sort of taking advantage of a situation and, you know, using the opportunity to play his character more at Luca's expense. But, you know, we'll just have to wait and see. Okay, that's pretty much everything to talk about, I feel. Let's get into this. I'm not sure where we are or what we're doing, so let's find out. Okay. I was at university all morning. As I returned to Akiba, the heat is now becoming unbearable. Am I recording? Yes, I am. That's good to know. I grab an iced coffee at the bakery inside Yodobashi to quench my thirst. While I'm at it, I guess I'll check @channel on my phone. I mostly frequent the occult board, the future technology board, and sometimes the physics board. Yeah, I guess you could, yeah, so you could see his areas of interest here. I search for threads on the mass disappearance phenomenon or Makisa Kurusu's stabbing, but turn up nothing. So, were those hallucinations after all? When I peek at the occult board, I find posts on multiple threads from someone claiming to be John Titor. Wait, John Titor is back? John Titor appeared on an American BBS 10 years ago, claiming to be a time traveler. I have heard of John Titor, and I had heard the time traveler thing, but I don't know the specifics. Fictional, an American, IBN. Oh, I see. An American an American computer company. Not only do they develop and sell hardware and software, they also offer service and consultation to enterprises. However, in recent years, they have made the latter their main focus. The inventor of floppy disks and hard disk drives. Yep. He claimed to have traveled from the year 2036 in order to obtain an old computer, the IBM 5100, or 5100. His claims started quite a storm among the BBS denizens. Let's see. At a time of recording, it is currently 2023. So, only 13 years away till 2036. I'm curious, what year did Steins Gate come out? I should probably be able to find that out, right? Let me see. 2009, my goodness. I really have been waiting to play this a while. Not like I was aware of it when it first came out, but I've been aware of it for years, to be sure. Titor also made several accurate, if fragmentary, predictions of future events. The start of the Iraq War, the spread of the Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease, for example. I don't know about this. Ah, I see. Another name for bovine, what is it, spongiform or spongiform? Spongiform? Encephalopathy. BSE, commonly known as mad cow disease, but only in the case of human infection. Early symptoms include memory loss, abnormal movements, personality changes, dementia, and muscle stiffness. In severe cases, the patient may waste away for 1 or 2 years before dying of respiratory paralysis or other complications. Okay. To prove he was from the future, he explained the principles behind his time machine and provided pictures of its operation manual. But after about 4 months, he disappeared without ever revealing his identity. At one point, his predictions gained popularity even in Japan. Yes, he certainly did get some things right. But on the other hand, he missed several others. Some of his posts contradicted each other, too. That's why, to this day, most people doubt his authenticity as a time traveler. So, after 10 years of silence, the same John Titor is now on a Japanese BBS? Ridiculous. It's obviously a troll. Net slang. To post controversial opinions or false information for the purpose of provoking a reaction. A person who does this is called a troll. Yes, indeed. First of all, John Titor is American. Yet now he's posting on @channel in Japanese. Let's take a look at his posts. CERN. Is that, oh, I can't check right now. Name, John Titor. Posted, is it still today? Ooh, can I click this? Let's just read it first. Name, John Titor. I don't expect you to believe that came in the year 2036. I see that everyone would like to know more about time machine. Time machine developed by CERN. I complete the first time machine in 2034. Time traveler lol. John Titor lol. More details on the time machine. I click, and yet nothing happens. Oh, I can go down. Do they sell time machines? How much do they cost? I got about 100 million yen saved. Can you send me? CERN has a monopoly on time machines. Not even the most powerful nations on Earth can acquire one, to say nothing of private citizens. CERN used their time machine for power. By 2036, the world has become a dystopia. There is no war, no conflict. However, there is a false peace, founded on the complete eradication of liberty. What does lol mean? Why did you come to this time? Was the Akihabara satellite crash your doing? Wait, guys. Titor-san doesn't understand @channel lingo. Let's keep it simple, K. I find it hard to believe people would forget what LOL means by 2036, but alright. if you know what I mean. Get a trip code, asshole. What's a trip code? I came here to present... Oh, did I miss scrolling down on the first page? Maybe. I came here to present, or to change my present, in other words, your future. My mission is to destroy CERN's dystopia and restore freedom to the world. This is a wonderful time you're living in. Everyone is free. What are you talking about, bud? You mean in the world? Because that's not true. In certain areas of the world, yes. But in others, not so much. But you lose... Well, maybe in comparison to whatever future dystopia he's referring to. So maybe it's relative like that. But you lose it all in just 20 short years. It is vitally important that you understand what the future has in store. What is a trip code? I might get one if you tell me what it is. By Anonymous. You said only CERN has time machines. You have a time machine. That must mean you're working for CERN. Therefore, your goal can't be to destroy CERN's dystopia. You're a fraud. Ooh, got him. Are you gonna get out of this one, Titor? QED. What's a dystopia? How can CERN take over the world in just 20 years? Look at the Middle East. You've been reading too much manga if you think you can get those guys to stop killing each other. Who asked you to change the future? You're trying to play God? If they're promising world peace, then I, for one, welcome our new CERN overlords. My time machine is a prototype, reverse-engineered from stolen CERN technology. Compared to their time machine, its capabilities are quite limited. In 2036, the world is ruled by a single, all-powerful governing body. They administrate every aspect of our lives, deciding what we eat, where we will live, and whom we will marry. There is no privacy and no choice. Anybody who dares oppose them is eliminated. There are no trials. That does sound quite authoritarian, yes. In movies and stuff, small changes to the past can cause huge changes to the future. You've already changed the present by coming here. What happens if you make unexpected changes to the future? Goes by Anonymous. This is by Kuri Gohan and Kamehameha. Implying CERN rules the world. Do you even know what CERN is? Lol. OP is a troll. So we find his dad and kill him, then this time traveler, Lamau, will never be born, and we won't have to listen to this bullshit, am I right? You right, you right. I want to know if you can meet your past self. Can you have self-cessed? Asking the real questions. This guy knows. You're talking about the so-called grandfather paradox. That has been debunked. This world line has a divergence of 0.571024% compared to the world line I came from. Killing my father would alter the divergence, creating a world line where my father is dead. However, it would not erase this world line. I would go on existing. CERN is a particle physics research institution. This hasn't changed in 2036. It is possible to meet your past self. The prevailing theory in my time is that nothing would happen. I, however, have not met my past self. Okay, yeah, so this is... you know, I've actually... The last two Let's Plays I've been playing have both... Well, one more than the other, but both have dealt with methods of time travel. And so, for one, I'm primed to be looking at time travel ideas just because I knew this game was about that. But also, I've been playing games that have been talking about that already. So this is yes, this is one of those things. So it's talking about, I guess, so he's saying world lines. I think I used the term reality earlier in the Let's Play, but this might be a better term, or just different timelines. So he's saying he's from timeline A. He goes back in time, but him appearing here and already causing changes causes it to split from timeline A in the past and form a timeline B, or something like that. Thus, even if he were to, taking this thing he's talking about here, say he was able to make changes here and prevent the rise of CERN and, you know, prevent this authoritarian government from being created, that would only count for this particular timeline or world line, when presumably his original world line timeline would still exist with CERN as, you know, an authoritarian world government. Something like that. Yeah, at least that's what I'm pretty sure this is saying. So yeah, we're talking multiple timelines here, which means this potentially could get very complicated very quickly, and I might need to write write these things down in order to keep track of what's going on. We'll see. We'll see. If you really are a time traveler, then fucking prove it. Post Time Machine Pics or GTFO. Many Worlds interpretation. Whoa, slow down, bro. Yeah, that. Gohan and Kamehameha. Research institution taking over the world. Lol, what? I do not feel the need to prove that I am what I say I am. I am only posting these messages on a whim. My mission comes first. Okay. Feels like that's a weird whim to have, but okay. What are world lines? Can you meet yourself from another world line? What happens if you do? Late reply. Trip code is a way to identify posters. Put hashtag password after your name. Of course. Lol backpedaling. World lines are like an infinite number of rivers flowing in parallel. Along the way, they are constantly branching out to new world lines. This is called divergence, for example, whether or not you post this message. Board has practically no effect on this world's world line divergence. Yeah, so I've heard, you know, I feel like I've heard, for example, people say something like, you should at least buy a lottery ticket at some point in your life, because in some timeline somewhere, it'll be a winner, or something like that. You know, it is just pretty sure that's not precisely what people were saying, but I've heard something like that. You know, it's you choose to get up on the right side of the bed or the left side of the bed, or, you know, just, and each one of those different choices or actions creates a different, I suppose, world line in this instance. So by that logic, you know, there are, if every single human being, in every single choice by every single human being is creating a world line, then, you know, infinite numbers of timelines are being created it'd be more than every second. It'd be, you know, it's crazy to try and even think about it. Okay, but if you were murdered, let's say, then divergence would change. Wait, hang on. It's called divergence. Divergence. But if you were murdered, let's say, then divergence would change. However, it would only change by about 0.00002%, if that. A single human being's death is not terribly significant on a global scale. Wars, disasters, acts of terrorism, and other events that cause widespread death and destruction have a much greater effect on divergence. Thanks for telling me about trip codes. I'll be sure to use this one from now on. I'm starting to get tired, so let's pick this up again tomorrow. It's been fun talking to everybody. Oh, I can just use my scroll wheel. How about that? Okay. Looks like they've already made an archive of these threads. Of course, there have been sites dedicated to John Titor for years now. This post closely resembles what the original Titor wrote 10 years ago. I've read one of the books on Titor. There are books on Titor. Okay, interesting. That's how I know. This new John Titor is clearly an imposter. There are many Titor fanatics on @channel. He's not exactly a household name in Japan, but I doubt anyone would fall for this level of trolling. As I continue to read, however, I find the response to be the opposite of what I expected. Everyone is accepting this time traveler as if this were his first appearance. Nobody's even mentioned his appearance 10 years ago. Finding this strange, I try posting a retort, but everyone ignores me. What the hell? You can figure this out if you do a little research, people. There's the original John Titor thread, archived in English, and plenty of John Titor blogs in Japan. I entered John Titor's name into the search engine. 12 matches. Wait, only 12? Moreover, all 12 are about the current Titor postings on @channel. I can't find a single trace of the Titor from 10 years ago. Bizarre. This just can't be. I searched for information on Titor a few years... I searched for information on Titor a few years ago. Back then I got tens of thousands of hits. Is the search engine filtered? Oh, I forgot to look at the tips. Dystopia, the opposite of a utopia. For example, a completely regulated and tyrannical administrated society in which all people are denied privacy, freedom, and are monitored 24 hours a day. CERN, fictional French acronym for Société Européenne pour les Recherches Nucléaires, or European Society for Nuclear Research. Sorry, French people. The world's largest elementary particle physics laboratory, located on the Franco-Swiss border near Geneva. It has a bank, a laboratory, post office, and a dormitory on the premises. Scientists from all around the world gather at CERN to research particle physics, and the number of people working there is in the thousands. Is this before... This is, you know, in real life, it's CERN, CERN? Is that, did they... What's the thing... What is it called? The thing that... I should know this. What is it called? The Large Hadron Collider. Yeah, when did that start? Large. The start date. 2008. Particle accelerator. That's what I was thinking of. Wow, so maybe not even a year before this game came out. The Large Hadron Collider. Okay. I try searching on another site just to make sure, but it gives the same result. What is this madness? It feels like I've stumbled onto another plane of reality. Could this be another organization conspiracy? Of all the people to have a time travel plot occur to, it just happens to happen to the Chunibyo. Of course it does. These past 2 days I've been surrounded by nothing but chaos and confusion. I'll call Daru. He'll know about Titor for sure. After all, I've talked to him about Titor before. I only vaguely remember the details of that conversation, but I'm positive the conversation happened. By the time I dig my phone out of my bag, I no longer feel like making the call. Instead, I sent him an email on the way back to the lab. He replies with his location. By May Queen, he means May Queen plus Nyan squared, a maid cafe. Of course he's at a maid cafe. Maid cafe, a type of cafe where waitresses wear maid uniforms, usually in the French maid style, and the waitresses typically call their customers master. Patrons can talk to the waitresses and play games with them, but ultimately maid cafes are restaurants, not bordellos. I've seen this word before, but I'm not sure I've actually pronounced it. Is it bordellos or bordellos? Daru's a regular there. Apparently, 3D cat maids are his thing too. May Queen plus Nyan squared is only a 3-minute walk from the lab. And this title, May Queen plus Nyan squared. What in the world? Obviously, that's not a real place, but I'm assuming that this is... There are probably places with similar names to this. Coming from, oh my goodness, Kuramaibashi Dori. Take a left turn at Tsumakoisaka crossing, and you'll find it. That's where I'm headed now. I'm sure a lot of these places are, if you were, if I was a Japanese and specifically knew or was from Tokyo, a lot of this would resonate with me. It's usually busy in Akiba during the spring break, but now it's even busier because of the Radikan incident. The air was blocked off yesterday, but it doesn't look like they could keep the main road closed for 2 days straight. I haven't seen a single police officer today. But the Radikan building still seems off limits. The entrance shutters are closed off and sealed with a yellow police tape.
謎の人工衛星墜落から一夜明けた秋葉原です。警察による規制は解除され、駅前にはものすごい数の人が集まっています。墜落した人工衛星がどこの国のものなのかについては現在も調査中とのことで、詳しいことがわかるまで撤去ができない状態です。
Also, can I say a random thing right now? The last couple games or VNs I Let's Played on this channel, both of them, I think, they would do this with the text, where the speed of the voice did not match the speed at which the text would scroll. And I mean, I think you could change the scroll speed in the menu, but in Steins Gate here, I really like how they have it so the text is done, finishes scrolling at the same time the voice ends. I'm not going to say who or what. If you've watched my previous Let's Play, one of the previous Let's Plays, you'll know there's a specific character who would always speak very slowly. And I kept having this issue where, the line would be done scrolling and the character would very slowly go through the sentence. And I, because I don't speak Japanese, I wasn't able to understand when they were finished with the dang sentence. So I would sometimes skip their line, and that would always suck.
警察の発表によりますと、爆発などの危険は今のところないということですが、秋葉原を訪れた買い物客や地元商店街の関係者からは不安の声が上がっています。
I would be concerned. The media has dozens of camera setups outside the police line. And there are nearly twice as many onlookers as reporters. You have to fill an entire street with people. Everyone's aiming their phone cameras at the satellite-like object. So many people. Living in Akiba, you get used to crowds and big events, but a gathering of this size is unusual. I wonder when they'll get rid of that thing. I hope it doesn't explode or something. They've been letting people back into the area, so I guess there's no danger. Still, considering its origin, I'm surprised there isn't more security. Honestly, I'm surprised that a dang satellite from space, and this is... It just barely got wedged into the side of the building. I would expect far more damage, personally. But, to be fair, I don't know much about satellites, or this particular satellite. But maybe, I don't know. It seems a bit weird to me. Today, like always, otaku are shopping for dojinshi, imported games, electronics, or whatever strikes their fancy. Dojinshi, fan-created amateur manga, which are often, but not always, adult in nature. They are sold at special dojinshi events, the biggest of which is the twice-annual comic Giga Market, known by fans as Komima. Isn't it Komiket or something in real life? Or is that something else? Hang on, let me pause for a second. I need to go get some water. Alright, I'm back. Always remember to stay hydrated, everybody. And every hour or so, if you've been sitting down the whole time, make sure you stand up and just stretch out a bit, Keep the blood flowing, that sort of stuff. Okay, let's get back at this. Okay, aside from the scene at Radikan, it's the same as any other day. But I still don't understand what I saw yesterday. I've half accepted that the mass disappearance was just my imagination. Maybe I've become unable to distinguish reality from fantasy like the media likes to say about teenagers these days. With that thought in mind, I return my gaze to the street. Hello. Okay. And there in front of me stands a woman holding her phone in front of her face. She took a picture. Her phone was clearly pointed at me. I tried to cover my face, but not quickly enough. I turn around just to make sure she wasn't pointing it at someone behind me, but that doesn't seem to be the case. Hello, ma'am? She's still staring at her phone. Without even glancing at me, she turns around and points her phone at some other pedestrian. Maybe she's just taking photos of everyone at the scene and not just me. But still, I need to have a word with her. The organization is after me, so I can't risk that photo getting out.
Wait, wait, wait!
Wait. Lady. She doesn't turn around. She's so engrossed in her photography that she doesn't even notice me. Or did she not catch my magnificent native-level English? Yes, it was perfect, my friend.
ちょっと、そこで携帯カメラを使っているあなた、待ってください。
She turns back, finally noticing me. And of course, her phone turns with her.
ってよせ、通るんじゃない。まさか機関の差し金か。
She completely ignores my objection. And then she goes back to looking at her phone.
質問に答えてもらいたいんですがね。あなたは機関の人間か。
If she is, then I may have to take suitable measures. Possible organization spy. I'll have to...
違うのか。
I'll have to keep in mind that they could change the names down here. Probably not organization spy.
違うとしても問題がありますよ。俺の写真を持っていると機関に知られれば、あなたにも奴らの魔の手が伸びるかもしれない。とにかく今撮った俺の写真を即刻削除してほしい。
Is she even listening?
謝る。
Wow, she finally speaks. Just a whisper, but it is something.
迂回にさせたなら。
Well, I don't know if it was out of nowhere. I mean, he was clearly upset by what she did. She lowers her head slightly in a bow. Or at least, I think it's a bow? She's been looking down all this time, so I can't really tell.
謝るより先に写真を削除してほしいわけだが。
風景撮ってた。
Her fingers dance across her phone's keys with impressive speed. Exactly the opposite of her annoyingly slow speech pattern.
風景を撮っていた？観光客？
Or is she one of those people who came to see the satellite? In that case, why did she take a picture of me? She shakes her head without looking at me.
証明。自分が今日どこを歩いたか。
Huh. I'm expecting at some point a name to reach the entire bottom of the screen eventually here.
変なやつだな。
桐生萌か。
Kiryu Moeka?
名前。
Moeka. Hello. I can tell by her design that she's going to be an important character in the story. I guess she's introducing herself. That's nice, but I just want her to delete that photo.
聞きたいことがある。いい？
それより写真を。
都市伝説。秋葉原の。知らない？
An urban legend? What is she talking about? Don't tell me. Huh. There is a brilliant but insane mad scientist said to be lurking in Akihabara. And now that brilliant but insane mad scientist is the target of every assassin in the underworld.
俺はこの町に長く居すぎたのかもしれん。だがそろそろ潮時か。
Akihabara, you weren't such a bad town. I'm glad the
幻のレトロ PC。
Phantom Retro PC.
レトロ PC?
She replies with a nod, or something like a nod.
秋葉原のどこかにあるらしくて、それが。
そうか。
Nothing about a mad scientist? I'm relieved, but also disappointed. At any rate, this is the first I've heard of a Phantom Retro PC.
幻のレトロ PC というとキュッパチあたりか。
98, a Japanese PC series sold from the mid-1980s to the mid-1990s. It sold so well that at one point it was called the National Computer. That's the first model that comes to mind. But are 98s really that hard to find? She shakes her head slightly, or something like a shake.
いいえ、これ。
She turns her phone toward me. The screen shows an oddly shaped computer. It's hard to tell since the picture is monochrome, but it looks like some kind of PC. It looks kind of familiar.
IBM 5100。
I beg your pardon? That's what John Titor was looking for. Are you John Titor? Or I suppose in this instance, Jane Titor? An IBM 5100.
ジョン・タイターが手に入れようとした PC か。
Her fingers twitch, I think.
見たことは？
ない。名前を知ってるぐらいだ。
Coincidence? No.
これもシュタインズゲートの選択かもしれん。
And you're never gonna tell me what that is, are you?
詳しい人知らない？
ダルンならば詳しく知っているかもな。そいつは俺のマイフェイバリットライトアームであるスーパーハッカーでな。MI6 の中枢にすらハッキングできる実力の持ち主なのだ。
MI6 in the United Kingdom, the government organization responsible for foreign intelligence operations, MI6 stands for Military Intelligence Section 6. However, its formal name is the Secret Intelligence Service. MI6 is a slight... The MI6 part is a slight exaggeration. If that ever did happen, Men in Black would break down our door and take us away. But the super hacker part is true. The depth of his computer knowledge is uncanny. Speaking of Daru, I'm supposed to meet him at May Queen plus Nyan squared. I don't have time to stand around and chat with some crazy lady I don't know.
では俺は行く。オンラインもメディアスクラムもほどほどにな。
Make sure she deletes those photos, man. Your identity is very important. Media scrum. During news stories with high public interest, reporters sometimes latch onto persons of interest, bombarding them with questions, prying into their lives, and even camping outside their houses. These activities are a serious invasion of privacy and can inflict mental and emotional stress on the subject. I try to make a smooth exit one-liner and everything, but she grabs my sleeve before I can disappear into the crowd.
何をする？
メールアド教えて。
Uh-huh.
何が狙いだ？
Yeah, seriously.
スーパーハッカーの。
Uh-huh. You're gonna follow the advice of just this random guy on the street, okay? Also, I just noticed that it's the 29th now. I guess she wants to hear Daru's story. It's my fault for mentioning him. Well, I'm meeting up with Daru, so why don't I just take her along? No, wait a second. This could be a devious trap. Maybe she's really a spy sent to kidnap Daru. I'm defenseless without him. My only other ally is my Yuri, whose skills amount to costume design.
断る。今ダルを失うわけにはいかん。
I slip past her and start walking faster. I glance back. She's following me. I pick up the pace, but she's still chasing me.
俺の後ろを歩くな。
Unperturbed, she shows me her phone again. On the screen is the picture of me that she took.
ゲーまだ削除していなかったのか。
教えてくれたら削除する。
How about you delete it first, then I'll tell you.
この俺を脅すとは。貴様、何者だ。
I attempt to glare at her. I attempt to glare her into submission. Oh, I'm having trouble today. But her eyes are already lowered. My glare is ineffective.
私は
She hesitates for a second.
アークリライトのバイト。
Arc rewrite. Rewrite.
なんだそれは。
Rewrite. What is going on?
ヘンプロ秋葉原にある。
One of those companies that writes articles for magazines? Is this gloomy lady really fit for that kind of work?
貴様、俺の写真を無断で記事にするつもりだな。
The mad scientist of Akiba unveiled. I can see the headlines now. That's all the organization will need to turn Akiba into a sea of blood. No, I must avoid that gruesome outcome at all costs. I have no choice.
交換条件に乗ろう。
At any rate, as long as she has that photo, I have no way of knowing how it might be used. I pulled up my email address and show it to her. Looking back and forth from my phone to her, she enters my info with terrifying speed.
そうか。この女、能力者か。
Esper, a general term for humans who possess supernatural powers. Common powers include telepathy, telekinesis, and precognition, though more exotic powers exist. It is rumored that some Espers even possess the ability to reshape reality with pure force of will. Derived from the term ESP, which stands for extrasensory perception. I dub her power Shining Finger. Her magical thumb types cursed emails. Her magical thumb types cursed emails at 255 characters per minute. Whoever receives one dies. Ugh, okay. She's done typing my address. It took all of 5 seconds.
名前は
法院京馬。マッドサイエンティストだ。
どう書くの？
フェニックスの法王に陰、そして凶悪なる真実。
Phoenix, and then just in. What does in mean? Kyoma. Unless you mean in as just as in. So it could be something like the Phoenix in the Terrible Truth, or the Terrible Truth in the Phoenix? I don't know. But that's pretty trudy, yeah.
フェニックスの法王に陰、そして凶悪なる真実だ。
I repeat my perfect explanation. This is the origin of my true name. Explaining the in part of Hoin would take too long, so I left it out. Okay, so it does mean something different. She enters my name with her head tilted to the side.
こう
なんだこれは、ふざけるな。俺のマナをバカにするつもりか。
Ho owing Yama. That's brilliant, actually. This girl's a genius. She lowers her head a little more, an apologetic bow, I guess.
ならば携帯を貸せ。俺が入力してやる。
Uh-oh. You've clearly crossed a line. She shakes her head, clutching her phone with both hands as if to protect it from me. Like a spoiled child who can't let go of a toy, she shields it from me with all her might. What does she think I'm gonna do? Her reaction is a little depressing. Anyway, she's obviously not going to hand her phone over, so I ask her for her address instead. I'll send her a blank mail. She told me her name a few minutes ago, but I forgot it already, so I entered her as Shining Finger. What am I doing standing here in the middle of the street? Let's hurry up and send her a blank email. I don't need to type anything. It's just to give her my name. I already put her in my contacts. Just send a blank email. Oh, wait. I see what you're saying. I needed to... Oh. She frowns while looking at her own phone. And then she glances my way. I can feel those eyes clearly saying hurry up. But I'm hesitant. I'm not sure if it's a good idea to give her my true name. Regardless of how long I hesitate, I don't think she'll let me go until I send her the email. She sure is persistent. Looks like I have no choice but to send the email. What have you done? You're doomed now. We exchange a few words, then I get away from her as fast as I can.
おかえりなさいませ、ご主人様。
Oh my goodness. How long have I been... Okay. Okay. Calling it here. We will deal with whatever this is gonna be next time. Okay? Alright. I've been the Warm. This has been Steins Gate, and we met a new character today. Every time we've just been meeting new characters, and it looks like next time we'll be meeting a few more. Our cast is getting filled out here. Obviously, we got to do that before the main story really gets going, so we'll get back to it next time. Hope you're doing well. Bye-bye.